Hey, we're live.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our another one of our live episodes of Hidden Gems podcast. We haven't done one of these for quite a while, so this is pretty exciting. And Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am physically fit as a fiddle. I've been training to swim in the Great Salt Lake with you
Yes.
come mid June. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun. It's going to be an experience you will never forget.
Yeah, and I've been a pretty good swimmer my whole life, but training for this has been something else. It really has. Just I've always been more of a I guess more of a speed swimmer. This is all about distance, so
Hmm.
it's all about building up the old endurance, and so it's
Yeah.
been fun to work on that.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I need to. I've gotten my bag. My swim bag is in the car. That was like a step, and now I actually need to go to the pool and swim.
It's mind
It's
over
gonna
matter, Rachel.
be
Mind over matter.
so I'm gonna try this week to do it. But yeah, I love the challenge of swimming the Great Salt Lake. It is I'm always kind of a wreck the week of because I just feel like but I've never had a friend do it with me, so I'm excited about that this year. It's gonna be really fun and it just feels so good when you finish because you know you did something that was challenging and so anyway, that's going to be great. And so we have the chat room open. And so if you are listening and you want to make a comment on anything that we're talking about, please do so. And there's also the super chat if you felt so inclined. And we're excited. We are going to be previewing the May and June streaming films. And it's kind of nice to see that going through the list, there's not as much that's going straight to streaming. There's a lot more or even day and date. There's a lot more going to theaters, which of course I like to see.
Yeah, it's very, very, very nice to see. Nice to see that nature is kind of healing itself, or it has healed itself already.
Mhm.
Whatever difference that makes.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting little group of movies that we're going to be talking about. Uh, do you have any particular favorites that I know you've been seeing a lot with the banana meter? Do you have any favorites of April that you want to share?
Favorites in terms of just movies in general or
Yeah.
streaming stuff? Oh, well, I saw The Northman. It's my new favorite movie of the year. It was awesome. I know it wasn't for you. I saw your review. I know it's not for you, but it's for me.
Hmm.
Like that movie spoke to me so much. It's
Hmm.
probably the most accessible Roger Eggers movie. I recommend it for those who are like, "What's he all about?" I don't know. I'd start with that one and then show them the lighthouse and have their mind just completely wrecked. Like Northman is just, it's so good. And then I finally saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, talk about a movie that I did not think was going to be as good as it was. It was better. It was my favorite
Hmm.
for a while until the Northman came along. It's firmly number two. So those are two of
Yeah,
them.
I really enjoyed Everything Everywhere All at Once. I didn't think that I would because usually movies that are kind of spastic and don't make sense to me, I find kind of frustrating. But this one was like joyous enough and oddball enough that I had fun with it and I enjoyed it. I can't say the same thing about Northman. I thought it was just unrelenting and I just grew weary of it after a while. I just felt like, why are we spending all of this time with these terrible people that I didn't like? And I didn't feel like there was anybody to root for in the story. I wasn't involved in the story. I just felt like it was really repetitive and just kept doing the same thing over and over. And I'm like, we get it. We've gotten that this is a brutal world. I've gotten it now and it's just too much and it was so long. It wasn't for me, that's for sure. Very well made, but you got to have a story in there. You got to have a story with characters that I care about for me, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Most
I
people
would
seem
argue
to have.
I would argue it's a bit of a revenge story. I mean, It's all about Alex Skarsgård trying to take revenge on his father, flawed or
Mhm.
for his father, flawed as his father may be. But I mean, like I said, the movie's very much Robert Eggers, so it's not exact. It's got his fingerprints all over it. It is weird. Willem Dafoe does Willem Dafoe things.
Yeah.
There was one scene where I just did not know how to think of it. It was when Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, and Alexander Skarsgård's character, but he's younger, and they're like doing that whole thing where they're like barking like dogs,
It was so weird.
and I
All the
would just
supernatural stuff, I was like, "What is happening?" I didn't get it.
that
I
I
don't know.
that I can understand if people don't like, because even I, who love this movie, just sitting there like, what's happening?
Yeah. I mean, I guess at least I took a chance, I tried something different, but because I did like The Lighthouse, but I did not I don't know, to me, it was just
And
repetitive, and I didn't have anybody to root for. I wanted a hero of some kind. That was but, you know, it's an interesting, film, but, but let's talk about well, maybe I should say my favorites. I saw a lot of interesting films, but I think my favorite was probably The Bad Guys. It's probably my
oh,
favorite
I saw that one too. That was
of
very good.
April. Mhm.
Thank
Or
and thank God too, because DreamWorks has been wallowing in the "we get it, Alec Baldwin, you don't like Trump" like movies phase for like the
right.
past few years, and
Oh, wow.
it's been
Yeah.
crushing. So it's nice to see DreamWorks finally emerge from those doldrums to make something somewhat good.
Mhm. I also loved Apollo 10 and a half: A Space Age Childhood. This was on Netflix. It was from Richard Linklater, who I love, one of my favorite directors, and we did one of my favorite episodes of the podcast I've ever done with Stanford. We did a whole episode on it where we just kind of talked about our childhood, and that's the great thing about this movie is it really makes you nostalgic for the different parts of your growing up that are similar. Even though this is in the '60s and mine would have been in the '80s, you think about I remember when we did something similar, and I just absolutely loved Apollo 10 and a half. It's definitely gonna be in my best of the year.
Yeah. Before we move on, I
Yeah.
thought of one more favorite, and it's from the TV world. The final season of Better Call Saul dropped, or started premiering on AMC, and I learned it's being broken up into two parts. So this is the final season, part one. It's going to last till about mid to late May. It's going to be May 23rd, I believe. And so, and it's 3 episodes deep, and I've been loving every single minute of this. Like this is the best show on TV by a country mile, and it's not even close. Like,
Mhm.
I've just been enjoying this show like nuts. I've been grateful enough to watch every episode when it dropped, so it's just been like on the premiere night. So keeping up the grand tradition all the way to the bitter end. And it's going to be sad when this Breaking Bad universe does come to an end, because I have a feeling that because this is a spin-off to Breaking Bad, it's like how much juice in the lemon can they squeeze? Because I mean, getting 6 seasons based off of Saul Goodman was just a miracle, even if it
Yeah.
wasn't even good. The fact that it was good is just a double miracle, for lack of a better word. Like, getting a spin-off out of the lawyer character is a rainbow, and making the series good is like the double rainbow. So if they
Mm.
want to do more, I just don't know if they could. I mean, they could do like a Gus prequel. But I mean, even then, it's pushing it.
Mhm.
So
Well, my favorite of the television type series that I watched in April would have been probably Bridgerton season 2. So well done, so fun. It's not quite as good as season 1, but I still really enjoyed it. It's It's got a little bit of steam in there. It's not for everybody, but I thought it was a really good time. And so I've been reading the Bridgerton novels this month as well. And so that's been fun. But we got some comments. Our friend Jeremiah Bach, he says, nostalgia critic Doug Walker gave it 3 stars out of 5 and said a lot of the jokes weren't all that funny. But Morgan on the Rotoscopers loved it, so I'm conflicted, but this is probably not a trip to the theaters for me. I've actually talked to Morgan about it. We've had some conversations because we're friends. And I do think that it's a movie, as far as the bad guys, that is more about the experience as far as the animation and the action, the heist kind of elements, more than the story per se, and even the script. Like, laughed at some of the jokes. They were enjoyable, but it's more about some charming characters that are fun and just the incredible action.
Yeah, the action in this was outstanding. I was watching this, like, like the opening and the closing are like two of the best bits of this whole thing. The action is so
Yeah.
rapid, but you can see everything. It's not like shaky cam where everything's just so confused. You know exactly where everything is, what's going on where, and give the animators credit. They made this look like just pristine.
hmm But yeah, if you're expecting it to be like a Shrek movie where there's a laugh, a joke every minute, then you're going to be disappointed. That's not this movie. It has some witty dialogue, some fun characters, but it's more about the heists and about the action and things like that, I would say.
It'll
But
make you
I
hungry
really
for those
enjoyed it.
orange push pop things, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. I love those actually. Those are delicious. So I think you should check it out, Jeremiah. And I think if you could go maybe at a matinee or something where it's a little cheaper, then I think it's definitely worth a trip to the theaters. But
Yeah,
for the
Jeremiah, I don't
beautiful
know where
animation.
Jeremiah, I don't know where you are in the world, but here where I live, Sundays and Tuesdays are like $5 days.
Yeah.
So if there's something like that in your area, I recommend you check it out at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, let's start with the previews. We start out on the 4th of May with from Netflix, and we have Meltdown, 3 Mile Island. This gripping 4-part documentary series tackles the near catastrophe at 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania through the lens of chief engineer and whistleblower Richard Parks, as well as the community it impacted. Insiders recount the events, controversies, and lingering effects of the worst nuclear incident in U.S. history. What do you think of this trailer for this
I
documentary?
I thought it was very interesting. I actually watched a video on 3 Mile Island from the Biographics YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the channel, but I'm a big history buff, so I like subscribing to a lot of history channels, and that's just one of them. And I remember thinking that, like, watching that video, I was like, wow, this 3 Mile Island thing was pretty bad. Like, and I just thinking, like, it's one of those things where I would have hated to have been watching the news back when that dropped, because it's just all you would see, I would imagine. And
hmm
it's
Yeah.
it feels like this trailer was going to go for is like, oh, somebody was hiding something, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. Maybe it was just an incident. Maybe
Well,
it
yeah, like they say, recount the events, controversies, and lingering effects. So, yeah, there are definitely some controversies of people that tried to make it go away or not talk about it or whatever. And so that's going to be interesting to watch. I definitely am very curious about it. If we go 1 to 4 as far as our excitement level, I'd give it like a 3. I thought it looked pretty good.
I concur, 3. And if I see this, I mean, maybe it'll change my mind. Who knows? But I love documentaries like this.
Yeah. Got another comment from Jeremiah. He says, I think my mom knows what Bridgerton is because it's on screen for 3 seconds and said, no, don't you dare. But I liked what I saw of season 1 well enough. Yeah, it's definitely a steamy show. a lot of fun though. And then we recapped season 2 over at Hallmarkies podcast, so you should check that out. We had a lot of fun with that with my friend Natasha. It's yeah. All right. So the next one is called Along for the Ride. And this is the summer before college. Auden meets the mysterious Eli, a fellow insomniac, while the seaside town of Colby sleeps. The two embark on a nightly quest to help Auden experience the fun, carefree teen life she never knew she wanted. What do you think about this YA romance film?
It kind of seems exactly like that, a YA kind of romance movie. When I was watching this trailer, I was thinking to myself, wow, Andy McDowell has aged like a fine wine. She looked like gorgeous. Like just seeing her in movies like Groundhog Day and like seeing her now, like she's just a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
That's all I will say.
Yeah, I mean the adults, the parents and grandma in this are pretty good. Kate Bosworth, Andy McDowell, Dermot Mulrooney, pretty good. But I don't know, it looked harmless to me. It certainly looked better than something like The Kissing Booth or something like that.
Oh God. Like when it comes when it comes to like YA romances, like if I see a good one, I'm like, that's a good one. And I always add the caveat, it can always be worse. So we should just be
Yeah, it
grateful
can be
for
a
the good.
kissing booth.
We should be
Part 1,
grateful for the
2,
good
and
ones.
3.
There are 3 of these?
There are 3 kissing booths. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. I would give this, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. It could be
I'm gonna
cute.
say the same thing, 2.5, and I'm not a parrot. I'm not trying to repeat back after you, but it is my actual thoughts.
Okay, then we have Marmaduke on the 6th of May, and it's a legendary dog trainer believes he can help Marmaduke become the first Great Dane in history to win a Westminster Champions Trophy. Uh, what do you think about this?
Can I go 0?
Yeah.
Then I'm going 0 because I hated this. You know, I don't watch a ton of the Nostalgia Critic anymore, but I poke my head in on his videos on occasion, and I was watching his Bobbleheads video, like the one he did for the Bobbleheads movie that came out in 2020 that nobody
Uh-huh.
saw, and
I didn't even know
and
that was the thing.
I didn't either, but apparently it's really bad. And the opening skit of the video is Doug like doing this like wine tasting thing, but instead of wine, he's doing like a taste of he's doing like obscure animated crap. And
Uh-huh.
so he does like the Christmas tree, he does the both all 3 animated Titanic movies. There are 3 of those as well. And then and then he gets to bobbleheads, and that's when the review starts. It's funnier
Yeah.
than how I just described it, but seeing this trailer, I was like, well, I don't know how far in advance Channel Awesome plans out their content, but I think there's going to be a space open for him to review this, and I will be there day one because this seems like
Well,
a perfect movie for him.
it's kind of crazy because the previous Marmaduke movie got terrible reviews with Owen Wilson and everything.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, no,
it's
that
got
is
is it
yeah.
9% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this movie makes that look like an Oscar-worthy film. I mean,
Not
these dogs, these
9%.
characters look so terrible. And I am often a defender of what I would call sort of B-level animation. I mean, I loved Son of Bigfoot, for instance. I was a big champion of that film. I thought it was really good. I liked Tom and Jerry that nobody else liked. So I'm not somebody that sort of turns my nose up. I like Paw Patrol, the movie, the sort of this level of animation, that's fine for me. But these characters look so bizarre and awful and like I don't know. I mean, just the way that they're designed is so weird looking and not in an interesting way.
You know, the compassionate side of me goes out to these animators because I imagine making animated anything is incredibly hard, and so I try and give them the benefit of the doubt. But watching this, I was just like, burn this. Like every copy. Like I
Mhm.
was like Al Pacino at the end of Jack and Jill. Burn this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Jeremiah, he says, "There's nothing like green fart jokes to indicate a quality movie. Also, yes, the character design is hideous." Although I will have to say there's a lot of green fart jokes in The Bad Guys, but it's all about what you do with it,
Well,
right?
there's a storyline reason why Piranha was so flatulent,
Yeah.
and honestly, when Piranha farts and Tarantula has to hold her breath in to finish the hack, not gonna lie, I was like, "Someone open a door or light a match, come on." Like, I was,
Yeah.
like, surprisingly tense for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like a nuclear event, radioactive. Uh, this I agree, 0. It looks terrible and not even, like, so bad it's good terrible, it just looks painful to watch. I mean,
It's
it's
like it's not even done. Is like
right.
they had a
Yeah,
deadline to meet, and it's like, "Oh, it's gonna be on Netflix, no one's gonna watch this," so there.
right. Yeah. Alright, then, we have on Netflix Operation Mincemeat. This is on the 8th, and it's during World War II, 2 intelligent officers use a corpse and false papers to outwit German troops. This stars Colin Farrell in it, and I'm Colin Farrell, Colin
Well,
Firth, excuse me,
first.
uh, in it. And, what do you think?
It's getting a big fat 4 from me. This combines many things that I love. World War II, spy stuff based on true story, starring Colin Firth and Isabel Crawley from Downton Abbey. I couldn't be more on top, like more yes to this if you forced me to. This is a big fat 4 from me.
Yeah, it has Johnny Flynn, who played Mr. Knightley and Emma. It's got Matthew McFadden, who has also played Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice.
You're
So
looking at this like Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like, oh, there, there.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it has this came out in Britain last year, and it has pretty good reviews. It's 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, so yeah, I think there's no reason not to be excited. I think 4 as well, I agree.
Yeah, it's
Looks like
got
a good
kind of
one.
Argo vibes to it because Argo was based around
Mhm.
creating a deception to fool some tyrannical government. Operation Mincemeat is a bit of a farce to outwit a tyrannical government.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Then we have Our Father. After a woman's at home DNA test reveals multiple half siblings, she discovers a shocking scheme involving donor sperm and a popular fertility doctor. This is a documentary. This will be on the 8th. It's on Netflix. This looks pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was just watching this like, there are some things that just you can't make up. They just happen and you can't explain it, but it just happens anyway. This seems like one of those things where it's like you literally can't make something like this up. It kind of reminds me of that movie Delivery Man
Yeah.
starring Vince Vaughn, but while that was actually kind of comedic, this feels almost like a horror movie waiting to happen because literally one of the lines that the woman gives in the trailer is like, "I'm afraid to walk down the street and bump into a half sibling of mine." And
Mhm.
you're like, "Oh,
Well,
yeah,
and
he's got a
al-
point."
also in Delivery Man, the people were knowingly going to a sperm clinic and getting that service. They just didn't know that it was all the same person all the time. In this case, they're going for infertility treatments where they think they're going to get treatments with their husband's sperm, and turns out this doctor has replaced it, or their partner or whatever replaced it with his own. And so they don't know that they are they have the children, or they are the child biologically of this man. They think they're going in for normal infertility treatments, which is that's crazy.
Oh man. Like, you
Yeah.
can make a whole true crime podcast based off of something like this.
Yeah, they probably have. They probably have. So this looks like a really good documentary. I'm very fascinated. It kind of reminds me watching of Three Perfect Strangers, and if you've seen that, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
3 on this one. It's a bit weird. I don't know why. I'm just gonna go 3 on this one.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I'll go 4. I'm really interested in it. So then we have on the 13th of May, we have Senior Year on Netflix. A cheerleading stunt gone wrong landed her in a 20-year coma. Now she's 37, newly awake, and ready to live out her high school dream, becoming prom queen. Uh, I do like Rebel Wilson. I really do. I think she can be really funny. I love the first Pitch Perfect movie. The rest aren't as good, but I will always have an affection for Fat Amy, even if they ruined her in the third movie, making her like an action hero. What on earth? But and I love Isn't It Romantic? I think that's really funny. Of course, now we have Skinny Rebel, which way to go. She
Yeah,
did a
but
good
that was
job.
the thing that stood out to me. I was like, "Wait, is this like the same Rebel Wilson?" And is like, "Wow." He's like, she looks like she to run away from danger. She like burpeed to run away from
Mhm.
danger. Like congratulations. As someone who was a bigger person at one time, I always have a big place in my heart for people who do lose a lot of weight, or at least some weight. I love that. I
Yeah,
love the spirit of that.
yeah. I mean, I guess this is hard. Even though I didn't hate high school. It was fine. I had a pretty good time in high school, but I can't imagine anything worse than going back to high school.
Yeah, and
Like once you have your freedom, I going back and the having to have ask permission to use the bathroom. So I couldn't do it. It would make me crazy. And so these movies where people go back to high school, like Jump Street, or I Never Been Kissed or whatever. I'm always like, no way.
there was this
So I don't
movie.
know. The premise of this does not sound like something appealing to me.
There was
But
this movie called 17 Again, starring Zac Efron, and there was
yeah.
an adult version of him played by one of the dudes from Friends. I can't think of him off the top of my
Oh,
head.
Matthew Perry.
That's him. And
Yeah.
and he gets transformed when he was 17 again, and that summary sounds painful. Which one? Are we talking about senior year or our
I think,
father? But
I think well, they both sound painful.
at least
I don't know.
there was a storyline reason why Matthew Perry, as younger him, was going back to high school. So
Yeah.
there was at least a storyline reason. But like
Well, and I feel like switching bodies is more entertaining to me than as
if I
someone
were put
actually going.
if I were put in that position, I would just be like, knock me out again. I'd like to sleep another 20 years.
So I would do anything rather than go back to high school. No way. I don't know. This doesn't look great to me. Maybe it'll end up being funny. She has the chops to make it funny, but I'm gonna give it 2.
Yeah, I agree with you too.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have on Peacock, we have Firestarter. And this is for more than a decade. Parents Andy and Vicky have been on the run, desperate to hide their daughter Charlie from a shadowy federal agency that wants to harness her unprecedented gift for creating fire into a weapon of mass destruction. Andy has taught Charlie how to diffuse her power, which is triggered by anger or pain. But as Charlie turns 11, the fire becomes harder and harder to control. After an incident reveals the family's location, a mysterious operative is deployed to hunt down the family and seize Charlie once and for all. Charlie has other plans.
Dun
That's a
dun
good write up.
dun.
Have you seen the original Firestarter
No,
with
I
Drew
haven't.
Barrymore?
As a Stephen King fan, I kind of feel like maybe I should just to prepare for this fire starter, but I've seen this trailer multiple times now to the point where I didn't even have to rewatch this in order to prepare for this show because I know exactly like at certain points I know the trailer like the whole liar liar pants on fire and is like get it because his pants are on fire. Do you get?
Right.
So I've seen this trailer and I love Zac Efron. I'm a big fan of his. This looks potentially interesting. I just like as a Stephen King fan, I just hope this isn't a dud because Stephen King movies have sometimes been really bad if you know like certain things like The Langoliers or like the Tommy Knockers or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously not made for me, but I still, even so, trying to judge it objectively, it does not look great.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks.
it's weird that it's going to Peacock and theaters. Maybe that was
Mhm.
I don't know what the decision behind that was, but that's actually the weekend of my birthday. So, and it's surprisingly going to be busy that weekend. So, I think I might have to take up the Peacock option just for convenience sake. I know that sounds weird, but I think I
Yeah.
may just have to do that because actually, that same weekend, like I said, it's my birthday, but at my local planetarium, they're showing Friday the 13th Part 2. So, literally on
Maybe
Friday
a
the
horror
13th.
weekend for you.
So, yeah, yeah, and on top of that, there's also a laser concert at the same place. So, I can squeeze Firestarter in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, this is not for me, but I give like a 1.
I'll give it I'll give it a 3. I'll be a little generous.
Mm. All right. So next we have A Perfect Pairing. This is on the 19th. It follows a hard driving LA wine company executive who travels to an Australian sheep station to land a major client. And there she ends up working as a ranch hand and sparking with a rugged local.
When I was watching this trailer, I was thinking to myself, it happened. Hallmark and Netflix have finally partnered. It was like the mega powers unite. Does this sound so much like a Hallmark like premise? And I'm not trying to make fun. It's
Yeah, no,
screaming.
it totally does. There definitely I think it'll probably have a little bit more spice than Hallmark. But I mean, we're talking this is probably PG and Hallmark movies are G. And so it's not like gonna be like Bridgerton or something, but yeah, this has Victoria Justice and Adam Damos, who Adam Damos is maybe one of the most handsome men in the whole world. He is gorgeous. So as far as I'm concerned, it's worth tuning in just for him.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
so
I'm
dreamy.
also a fan of Victoria Justice. She was on this Nickelodeon show called Victorious, which I don't know if anyone out there has seen it, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Like she was coming up as a singer as I was in the middle of my Disney Channel, Nickelodeon slash Cartoon Network phase. And it was like in the middle of my Nickelodeon, it was like Drake and Josh, iCarly, Danny Phantom, and Victorious, among others. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of her.
Yeah, I mean this looks kind of kind of lame, but it's my kind of lame. It's my brand. Looks like trash, but my brand of trash. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'll give it 3.
I'm gonna say it too. This is just not meant for me. I think I might check it out.
All right. Then on the 20th, we have Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Disney Plus. In Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Chippendale are living amongst cartoons and humans in modern day Los Angeles, but their lives are quite different now. It has been decades since their successful television series was canceled, and Chip has succumbed to a life of suburban domesticity as an insurance salesman. Dale, meanwhile, has had CGI surgery and works the nostalgic convention circuit. Desperate to relive his glory days. When a former castmate mysteriously disappears, Chip and Dale must repair their broken friendship and take on their rescue rangers detective personas once again to save their friend's life.
So
we, real quick, we have a comment from Jeremiah. Google's Adam Demos. It's a very good decision. Top result is shirtless Adam Demos. Yeah, that's accurate. He is so handsome.
It's a very good.
I don't lie about these things. We got from Pikachu Cat, who, by the way, does a lot of editing for this channel, and she along with Ryan does some too, but she saves the day many a time during the holidays, especially. So thank you very much. And she says, Chippendale looks like a fever dream that I pitched while hyped up on sugar and running on 3 hours of sleep. Honestly,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly my thoughts. Shout out to you, Pikachu Cat. You and I are on the same. You and I on the same wavelength on this one. Maybe it's because I'm just not. I have no real knowledge of this show. I know it was a thing. It was on during the Disney afternoon era of like Gummy Bears and the Mighty Duck show and DuckTales and all that. So I know what it is. I've just never seen it. And watching this trailer, I was like, what is going on? Like, one is in regular, like 2D animation, one CGI. There's like humans mingling with that. And I was like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit did this? And I would argue it did it a whole lot better. So, like, what is going on here?
Well, I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is like way
Oh,
up
yeah,
here.
sure. But
I mean,
I was just
this is
watching this
not.
and like, why? Like, what is going on here?
I don't know. I'm just really confused about this movie because they start out with a Chippendale, like Las Vegas Chippendale joke. And I'm like, what? Like, kids don't understand that. So is this thing made for adults? But then,
Yeah,
like,
and
all of this stuff feels very Alvin and the Chipmunks to me, which is very kids. And yeah, I mean, like, he had CGI surgery and he's on the convention circuit. And I mean, the whole plot, and I don't know, I just feel like, who is this made for?
and the whole CGI surgery thing, I was just like, um, commentary on celebrities trying to hang on. Uh, I just, I don't know. It's like this show confuses me, and I haven't even seen it yet.
And I feel like, do people really have like high nostalgia for Rescue Rangers? Like, it was part of the Disney afternoon. It was enjoyable, but it's not like DuckTales, which I think people have way more nostalgia for.
I mean,
Uh,
DuckTales got a
uh,
reboot in
yeah, which
2017.
was way better actually than the original. Hot take, but it's accurate. Uh, and so we have some comments. Kate Cass says, "Oh yeah, the Chip and Dale movie. It looks dot 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 interesting." And then Jeremy says, "Oh my god, I forgot about this. That teaser. Yes, it looks like a fever dream." I'm like, "Was this co-written by a 5-year-old? It looks
I
like this was
wouldn't put it
co-written by a
past them.
5-year-old."
Disney's
A
got so much
5-year-old,
money
and then like
nowadays.
an oddly nostalgic 45-year-old. I think they teamed up.
Yeah,
When I watched the trailer, I thought it was fake because it looked so insane and weird. And then Jeremiah says, but my girls, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash are in it. That's cool. They look terrible, but they're in it. I missed that there. I guess I missed that in
they
the
look
trailer.
terrible, but they're
They're at
there.
the convention, I guess. Chip and Dale looks so bizarre and the plot is so recycled, Mr. Flickster. And then Pikachu says, honestly, congrats to Disney for making the most absurd movie trailer I've ever seen.
Consider the ground that covers.
Yeah. And then Kate Cass says, I don't know. I feel like this would be kind of funny if it wasn't a Rescue Rangers movie. I don't claim to be an expert, but the tone doesn't seem to fit with what Rescue Rangers was. And more Fluttershy shout outs. I'm embarrassed. How did I miss it? But yeah, I should have done a trailer reaction to that. I can't remember why. Because I tried to do most of the animated trailers because it was crazy. I was just like, who is this made for? And again, I liked Tom and Jerry. I'm one of the only people in the world who liked it. But this, I don't know. I don't know. At least it seemed like to me, Tom and Jerry tried to capture the slapstick feel of the original shorts, the original show. Whereas this, it's like, what are they trying to do?
You know, after I watched this, I was like, you know what? I don't even smoke, but I need a cigarette.
Yeah, right.
So one,
So
so one, and we're done.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. 1. It
One and
does
we're
not look
done,
good.
son.
1
One
and
and
we're
we're
done.
done.
All right. Then Stranger Things 4, they didn't have a summary, but they have a trailer. What do you have you watched the show? Are you up on Stranger Things?
I've watched all of season one. I watched a couple episodes of season two, and I just never came back to it. I liked season one, but I don't know why. I just kind of dropped off of it. The only thing I know
Mhm.
about this show now is that this is the season where they spent like 30 million an episode making it, and I was just
Yeah.
when I read that, I was like, how? Where did the money go? It just like you're making like Heisenberg like blue meth money, spending it all on these teenagers running around fighting off like monsters that come from shopping malls. Like I don't understand any of this.
Yeah, I actually totally get it. It's a very cinematic show. It has the quality of a movie. In fact, I think actually given these episodes are, 45 minutes, I'm actually surprised that it's not more, to be honest, because it feels just as high quality as movies that are made for 100 and 50 million, 200, like these huge budgets, and you're talking about multiple episodes in a season. So I the it's very well made, very well made. And I've really enjoyed it. I kind of wish I feel like they had a choice to go into a sci-fi realm or to go into more of a horror creature scares kind of a realm in season 2, and they kind of picked the horror creature realm, and I probably would have rather them go the sci-fi realm. But it's still, I think it's a great show. I love especially the kid actors are excellent in it. And Millie Bobby Brown is really great as 11. So I'm excited for the new season to come.
Yeah, but it's
Let's
like
see
in Finn
here.
Wolfhard's movie contract, and every one of his movie contracts, he has to be like the creepy kid in like every one of his roles. I'm just afraid he's going to be typecast, if not
Yeah,
typecast at this point.
that's true.
He's like, oh,
And
there's
of
Finn
course,
Wolfhard. There's Finn Wolfhard being creepy again.
yeah. And Winona Ryder, of course, is in it, and she's good. And Jim, you have what's his name, playing Jim Hooper. I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
David
But
Harbour.
anyway, yeah, 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 and he's good. So I'm excited. I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, then we have Prehistoric Planet. This is on Apple Plus on the 23rd of May. Experience the wondrous story of life, 66 million years ago. Set to debut globally on Apple TV Plus from Monday, May 23rd to Friday, May 27th. The 5-episode groundbreaking series will transport viewers 66 million years in the past to discover our world and the dinosaurs that roamed it, all in stunning detail and set to an original score by multiple Academy Award winner Hans Zimmer. This is David Attenborough. So one of his documentaries. What do you think?
As a lover of Planet Earth and Blue Planet and those like life type shows, this is getting a 4. I loved this trailer, and I'm actually surprised that Apple Plus like got their hands on this because it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna have to go and see this now. So that's a big win for them. Getting Attenborough, like the David Attenborough, like whenever something happens in nature, you automatically do the voice. It's like the grasshopper hops along the grass.
Mhm. Yeah, they had one a couple of years ago that I saw at Sundance actually called The Elephant Queen that was really good. And then now they have this. And so one thing about Apple Plus is they are being very choosy with what their choices. And so you got to figure, I mean, he's the king, David Attenborough, of these type of things. And the Disney nature films, they have their place for really little kids, but sometimes they over anthropomorphize the animals, and create this whole story, and it feels sometimes staged. I'm not a big fan of the recent polar bear movie. It wasn't my favorite. Uh, so this is going to be a nice kind of palate cleanser from that.
Yeah, I remember watching African Cats, and the narrator of that was Samuel L. Jackson. And I was just in there like, he doesn't say MF once. What a waste. And then I'm like, oh, this is Disney. Makes sense.
African Cats is terrible. I don't like that one. We kind of have a running joke on the podcast because we do these yearly Disney rankings, me and Stanford, and he hates the nature documentaries.
Sounds about right for him.
Yeah. I don't mind him sometimes. I think the penguin one is pretty cute. I like the flamingo one. I like the chimpanzee one. That's probably my favorite. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching Planet Earth 2 for the first time and seeing David Attenborough in that hot air balloon and like hearing his voice coming from like him, like his body. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Yeah.
Like seeing him standing there going, on this special presentation. And I'm like, you're supposed to be disembodied. Why do you have a body?
And so, all right. Then we have I'm Here. This is on the 23rd of May, and it is also on Apple Plus. And it's a life affirming documentary that celebrates the remarkable life of Ella Blumenthal, whose magnetic personality and spirit has remained undimmed despite living through one of history's darkest chapters. One of the oldest living survivors of the Holocaust, Ella celebrates her 90th birthday, where she reveals to close friends and family profound memories of her incredible survival in a way she's never done before. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost impossible not to give this 4 because it's like she seems so great. Like, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be good.
she seems like a very positive person despite literally everything that happened to her in that
Mhm.
horrible time frame. Like
Yeah.
I remember in 2018 I traveled to Germany for a college trip. Some alumni were doing like a reunion and they asked me to shoot like a movie for it, and so I did, and I got to go with them. We ended up going to Dachau. I have never been like in a more uncomfortable place like in my life. Like just walking those grounds, I was just like, wow, like this is just like I didn't know what to say. And it was like they had some of the structures up and you're just like, wow, these people were monsters, like
Yeah.
unequivocal monsters. Like they had the tomb for the forgotten, like the tomb for the forgotten prisoner. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but there was a statue erected in memory of those who were forgotten, which I thought that was very cool of them to do. And so seeing
Mhm.
Dachau and seeing the the hell that just must have went down there, it just horrifying stuff. And so yeah, this
Yeah.
gets a 4.
Yeah.
Easy 4, slam dunk.
Yeah. All right, hard left, as you like to say. We're next talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi on the 25th of May. Disney Plus. It's the story begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker, who turned to the dark side as evil Sith Lord Vader. So my only question about this movie, I have not watched all of Clone Wars, but doesn't Clone Wars cover that same time period with
Clone
Obi-Wan
Wars
and Anakin?
The Clone Wars TV show covers up to the end of the Battle of Mandalore, which is like literally like, and again, my timeline knowledge is a bit rough, but like I think like a short time before the events of Revenge of the Sith begin. So Clone Wars exists between the end
Okay.
of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. So
Oh, I was thinking it
between
was
2 and
after.
3. So Revenge of the Sith covers the whole Darth Vader origin story.
Mm. Oh, okay.
Now, if you
Um,
watch the Clone Wars, you see definite seeds being planted in Anakin of, maybe this isn't as all cracked up as it's supposed to be. You can see it, but the full turn doesn't happen until Revenge of the Sith.
mhm. 'Cause I've the one I've watched completely is Rebels. I loved Rebels. I thought that was really great. And that's post Revenge of the Sith is
Hmm.
Rebels.
Yeah,
But
it
it
takes place in between 4 and 5, if my memory serves me. Or no, wait, three and
yeah.
four, 3 and 4. My bad. But yeah, this Obi-Wan show looks great. It warms my heart to see both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen coming back. Honestly, you don't need much else. I just need those two, and I'm a happy man. I just hope they don't pull a Book of Boba Fett and like do something crazy like not have Obi-Wan in an episode of the show that it's named after. But that's just like weird manifestation of what I
Yeah.
want not to happen.
I didn't watch Book of Boba Fett. That's the one I haven't watched much, obviously, much Clone Wars. And I didn't watch The Bad Batch either. I'm falling off. There's too much.
Yeah, I don't know how Alex Damon over at Star Wars Explained does it. It's like keeping up with that is a literal full-time job.
Yeah. So we got a lot of excitement in the comments about this. We have Pikachu. So excited. We've got, let's see here, more excitement. Clone Wars season 7 ends right where Ahsoka's final arc for the show ends at Anakin succumbs to the dark side.
There
Then
you
we
go.
see Ahsoka also in Rebels. You said, can't wait for Kenobi. The trailer was so good. Please be better than Book of Boba Fett. So this Obi-Wan show will now take place in years 5, 6 after Revenge of the Sith. I'm just guessing based off glimpses of young Luke that we saw in the trailer.
That's a
Very,
that's a good
very
guess.
cool. That will be good. And so maybe I need to watch Revenge of the Sith because it has been a while. I haven't probably watched it since
It's better than
2015.
you remember. I've been a Revenge of the Sith defender for quite some time. It's not
Hmm.
as bad as people make it out to be. It's not perfect, but I mean, like the ending where Obi-Wan and Anakin fight it out on Mustafar. Oh, that is just outstanding stuff.
Let's see here. Book of Boba Fett was basically Mandalorian season 2.5.
I don't know
What
why they
is
didn't just
this?
call it that. Like instead of not having the man in an episode of his own show. But I mean, I,
Yeah.
I've I've beaten that dead horse far
But
too
yeah, I
long.
don't think I've watched Revenge of the Sith since before Force Awakens came out. So maybe it's time to give it a rewatch. But we'll see. I'm not one of those uh, people that have retroactively boosted the prequels because the sequels were disappointing. I just think that almost all Star Wars has been disappointing. But we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So what are you giving Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Oh, easy 4. Slam
Mhm.
dunk.
I'm going to give it a 3. There's been enough inconsistencies that I'm not 100% sure, but I hope it will be good. My friend and I stayed up all night binging the show after Mondo popped up because he made it 10 times better.
Yeah.
Star Wars has been disappointing. Yes, my whole life. When I was 18 years old, going to the Phantom Menace. Being so disappointed. So, all right. Next, we have Fire Island. This is on June 3rd and is on Hulu. Set in the iconic Pines, Andrew On's Fire Island is an unapologetic modern day rom com showcasing a diverse multicultural examination of queerness and romance. Inspired by the timeless pursuits from Jane Austen's classic Pride and Prejudice, the story centers around two best friends who set out to have a legendary summer adventure with the help of cheap rosé and their cadre of eclectic friends. So I have to say, there are so many things that try to bandwagon off of Jane Austen, and I actually think that I would have liked this summary better if they hadn't included that in there because I'm like, um, but it looks like it could be fun. I'm hopeful that it will be a fun little rom com. I'm gonna give it 3.5.
I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it does actually look quite intriguing. I love the line where the main character, like, falls down the stairs and the dude picks him up. He's like, "You should drink this whiskey. It's good for your knees. You should know. I'm a doctor." And one of the people behind him was like, like, I don't know why I laughed at that, but I did.
Yeah, there are some funny moments in that trailer. So I hope it'll be good. I really do. It's definitely a group that needs fun rom-coms. They're not enough good LGQ rom-coms. So all right. Then we have Miss Marvel. This is on Disney Plus. It's 6/8 on June 8th. Kamala Khan, a shape-shifting teenager inspired to fight crime by Captain Marvel. What do you think about this one?
Um, I'm going to reserve my. I don't know about this one. I think I'm gonna have to wait until I actually sit down and watch it because I do plan on watching it. I'm just gonna wait to sit down and watch it to like have thoughts on it. I know that sounds weird, but these Marvel shows have been, with the exception of Moon Knight. Moon Knight has been great, but the rest of them, the ones that I've seen, have just been generally disappointing. So I'm going to save my feelings and just kind of remain neutral until I sit down and watch it. The same thing. I saw a tweet earlier about if we do in fact see Professor X and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like, is that going to undo the ending of Logan? And for me, I just said I'm just going to wait until I sit in the theater and see what they do with it, because after all, it's a multiverse. So multiple different universes with multiple different Professor X's. So it could be different in either form. So my official stance, I'm going to give it a 3. I think the trailer is actually pretty good, but I'm just going to remain neutral until I see episode 1 and see the entire series.
Yeah, I unlike you, I've really enjoyed all these Marvel series. The only one that I didn't even finish because I wasn't, even though it was animated, I didn't finish What If. I don't know, it was just not doing it for me. And I probably need to go back before the. It sounds like I need to watch the finish it for Doctor Strange. But I've really enjoyed all of them. I thought they've been creative and engaging, and a little take a little more risk than they do in the movies. I thought they were all good. Probably my least favorite, aside from What If, it was probably the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Didn't quite work, but it had still good moments. So I've really enjoyed it. This looks like it's more for like teens, but I've really been enjoying over on CW. There's the show called Naomi, that's a teen superhero show. Is very well done. And so I hope that this can be kind of Marvel's answer to that, and then we could get two really good, solid teen show series. And like the diversity in this, and I think the art design looks fun in the trailer. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Yeah, you should probably enjoy those CW shows while they last, because I read that the new Warner Brother Discovery people are kind of cutting scripted stuff
Yeah.
on their networks, and that can only mean that the CW shows are not long for this world. I mean, they already just canceled Batwoman, which, I mean, that whole series is just a one big can of worms in its own right. But I mean, Batwoman just got canceled, and it's looking like the Flash might wrap up soon, so it's not looking good for them. But that's a sidebar.
Jeremiah agrees with you. He says almost every Marvel show has sucked. Hawkeye
Okay.
was okay, and then Moon Knight comes along, and it's so good. I love that show. I have not seen episode 5 yet. I haven't gotten to it,
Oh, it's so
but
good, Rachel. You got to. It's fantastic. The best episode of the show, and it's not even going to be close. The finale is going to be. It's like episode 5 is here. I'm predicting it. 5 is here, and like the finale is like going to be here. I just have a feeling.
my favorite of the Marvel shows was Loki. I really loved Loki. I thought it was very creative, and I think you might actually dig it because it's very sci-fi, and you're a big sci-fi fan. But I mean, I'm a huge Loki nut, so that was probably an easy sell. But I don't know, I just thought it was really creative, and I loved Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. They were great, and so I really enjoyed, and I loved Richard E. Grant as the old school Loki. That was really good, I thought, and I really liked Hawkeye when they had the Avengers musical. I died. It was hilarious. Uh, you didn't like it.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, nope, not for me.
Oh, it was so funny.
Because I was just sitting there like, Ant-Man wasn't at the Battle of New York. This thing is completely like
It wasn't supposed to
completely
be
backwards.
realistic. It was a it was a
I'm sure it
Broadway
wasn't,
musical.
but I would,
It was a Broadway musical.
yeah,
I don't know.
that
I thought
and
it was really funny. It was supposed to be a joke. But
it
anyway,
succeeded.
yeah, it made me laugh. I was just like, I want this in my life. And it was Christmas, and they have a great car race in Hawkeye that was I thought very well done. I don't know. I've just enjoyed. I loved WandaVision. I thought it was great. It was so much fun. I loved the character of Wanda and her journey through the show. I thought it was great. So we're on different pages there, but that's great. And let's see here. We have Kate Cash says, I mean, if you've seen the fourth episode that features Doctor Strange's What If story, I think you're okay. There is more from that version of the show, but not in a way that will impact uh, the new movie. Very good. Okay. And my introduction to the character was that awful Marvel game on PS4, and I'm not sold on the character, LOL. So there you go. Have you seen the Walt in the Wings parody documentary on the making of Rogers the Musical? Yes, I have, and it's hilarious. The Wait in the Wings, excuse me. I enjoyed that. Yeah, that was a good video. So anyway, Kate Cass is funny because Loki was the only one I was kind of underwhelmed by, but I freely admit that I am just not grasping the MCU's approach to time travel. So there we go. All right. Then we have. Oh, did you have a point for that? What you're giving it?
I'm gonna give it a 3. Like I said,
Oh,
the
okay.
trailer does look good, but I'm just going to wait and see and let it
Sounds
play.
good. All right, then we have Halftime. This is on Netflix, June 14th. Global superstar Jennifer Lopez reflects on her multifaceted career and the pressure of life in the spotlight in this documentary. There's no trailer so far for this, but I don't know if you really need a trailer. These kind of singer documentaries are basically all the same. What do you think? Are you excited? Are you a J Lo fan at all?
I mean, I respect the hustle. I know that sounds weird, but I respect how far she's come in her career. I just don't think I don't think I'll be watching
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of curious, especially if it kind of goes into her personal life a little bit, 'cause she's had such a tumultuous personal life. But I'd give it a 2. But who knows? I'll probably watch it. All right. Last one. Excuse me. Last one is Cha Cha Real Smooth. This is on the 17th of June. It's Apple Plus. A college graduate gets a job as a party starter and befriends a young mother and her autistic daughter. I'm really surprised there's no trailer yet for this. It'll probably be coming any day now. It was a huge hit at Sundance. Everybody but me loved
Yeah,
it.
I remember I was talking to Manda over at Candid Cinema, and she was in love with this one. I
Yeah.
believe it was either that or Fresh. I can't remember, but saw Fresh and loved it. And she did bring up Cha Cha Real Smooth, and I remember messaging her saying, if they don't use that song in the movie somewhere, then that's a wasted opportunity.
Get
And she,
ready. They don't use it.
oh, they don't. What's even the point of calling the movie?
No. I have no idea. I thought there would at least be some dancing in the movie, but there really isn't. There's just like a little bit of party dancing, but no, like, I thought it was a dance movie by the title. He's very charming. I see why people enjoyed it. I I get it. But I didn't really like the ending and what they did with Dakota Johnson's character, and I felt like they were trying to sell me on a happy ending, but to me, it did not feel happy at all for her character, so I left kind of frustrated. But I get why other people really enjoyed it. So it's definitely one you want to have on your list to watch if you have Apple Plus. It's definitely worth checking because, like I said, most people seem to really loved it. So anyway, we have a new comment. Most excited for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness as Sam Raimi directing. It excites me. And Disney's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. It looks like a spiritual sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So there you go. We got some excitement for Chip and Dale there. And yeah, I guess maybe we should just say real quick, what would be your number for Doctor Strange 2?
Oh, 4. I'm so looking forward to this. Stay off of Twitter, friends. Like mute the hashtags because they've been spoiling stuff. And I haven't seen any of it. I've been careful, but it's just like it's so stupid. Why would they do this? It's like they already have our money. Like what do they need to do? It's like they're insecure about something. Like
Right.
my kind of like out there prediction, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, then oh well, it is what it is. I think we're going to see Tom Cruise as Tony Stark because the long tenured rumor was that Tom Cruise was supposed to be Tony Stark / Iron Man. I have a feeling that we're going to see him. And if it doesn't happen, then you know what?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. But that's my way out there, like dark horse prediction.
That would be interesting. That would definitely get a reaction. Can you imagine in the crowd?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Reed Richards somewhere pop up. That was kind of what I was thinking, maybe. And I have no reason except for the fact that I know they're making one down the road, and so to have him be at least an end credit, I feel like makes sense.
Yeah, it's with this whole multiverse thing, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do and where they go with this because the
Mm-hmm.
possibilities are literally endless.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. So I'm excited and excited to see what Sam Raimi brings for it. We've got lots of fours going on here for Doctor Strange, and we've got most anticipated film of the year. I really, and Jeremiah says I really want to see Cyrano. I love the trailers. Yes, Cyrano, so
I
good.
actually
Loved it.
saw I actually saw Cyrano, and it was actually really good.
Yeah,
Like Peter
it's
Dinklage was awesome in that.
oh so good. They dropped the ball on that one. He should have been nominated. He certainly
Yeah,
was better than Javier Bardem. What on earth?
Javier must have taken someone out to dinner. Like,
Yeah. Uh,
say, hey, maybe you should like put my name on.
yeah. So there we go. We did it. We have previewed all of the streaming for May and June. A lot of exciting stuff coming up. It's going to be fun. So there we go. I think what is my probably Operation Mincemeat? Maybe is my most anticipated
Yeah,
of these.
same with me. Same with me. That
Yeah,
Prehistoric Planet.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, those are my top 3.
Yeah, yeah, very good. All right. Well, Ryan, how can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. I want to thank everyone who checked out my Everything Everywhere All at Once review. It just crossed 55, or it's at 56 views last time I checked, which just blows my mind. So thank you all for checking that out. Earlier this week, I put up a Twilight Zone video recapping the episode called Back There, which is very interesting. On Wednesday, I dropped the latest episode of my podcast, Life in the Movies, with Ryan and my friend Jacob Martin. We talked about the whole Netflix thing and them losing a lot of subscribers. And we talked about a lot of the movies that we've been watching lately. And it's really is a lot of fun. And then since it's a bit of a light movie week, I'm going to be uploading a review for the HBO Max movie Kimmy from director Steven Soderbergh, which I absolutely loved and was in my top 3 of the year for quite some time until Batman and Everything Everywhere and The Northman came along and knocked it down a couple pegs. But it's still excellent, and I still want to talk about it. And since this is a pretty light movie week, I'm going to talk about it then. And then I'm going to, on Sunday, going to be talking about the 1992 movie Chaplin, starring a pre-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr., and talking about how it's better than you remember. So if you haven't checked me out, please do.
Very good. Yeah, y'all should definitely check it out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews here on social media. And if you can give the podcast your 5-star reviews on Apple, I really, really appreciate it. And if you are watching this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. Also, check out the Hallmarkies podcast, doing a lot of fun stuff over there. We really appreciate that. And we're starting Muppet May here on the channel on Monday. So I always look forward to that. And so thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.